welcome everyone. Now is a great time to turn off your cell phones and pagers and all that good stuff. We have people videotaping tonight, otherwise it's just them, so no videotaping of any kind is permitted. I'm thrilled to welcome Steve tonight. He's an old dear friend, and I'm really excited for you to hear his story. It's really, really interesting. He's chosen some beautiful music for everyone tonight. And before we start, I want to introduce his fabulous accompanist, Lee Dixon. I'm not going to talk too much about Steve because he's going to tell you his story. But I've known him for about 15 years, and I'm proud to introduce him, Steve Hasman!
When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home, I wish I was back there, with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall trees bend into leaning. Suddenly the snowflakes that fall have a meaning, sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. Maybe there's a chance I can go back, now that I've found some direction. It sure would be nice to be back at home, where there's love and affection. And just maybe I can convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time be my friend. Let me start again. Suddenly my world's gone and changed its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have had my mind turned around in space, and yet I've watched it growing. And oh, if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard for us to believe the things that we see. Tell me, should we run away? Should we try to stay? Or is it better just to let things be? Living here in this brand new world might be a fantasy, but it's taught me to love. So it's real to me, and I've learned that we must look inside our hearts to find a world full of love like yours and mine, like home. Thank you, and welcome everyone to my inaugural performance of A Journey to Grateful. It's the first one ever. Thank you all for coming. Tonight I hope to share with you some of my story, my own personal journey as a performer, as well as some of my favorite songs from shows that I've done or I would love to do. Many of you probably recognize that last song as Home from The Wiz. Now, growing up for me, home was Virginia. And you'll notice that I said a state and not a city, right? Growing up in the family of a Methodist minister meant moving around quite a lot. And more about that in a minute. I often have people come up to me and ask, you know, how is it that you became interested in musical theater or performing? And I would have to say that it started really early on with developing a love for music. Both of my parents are great singers, and of course we sang in church every Sunday, and I guess everywhere we moved had its own regional style of music, I bet. But my first exposure to musical theater was really through movie musicals. And we didn't have a lot of money to go see live theater in those days. So we always looked forward to those times during the year, every year, when those movie musicals would come on. And one of our favorites was The Sound of Music. So, you know, how could you not love the story and the music and Julie Andrews' voice? And I always remember my dad telling me stories of how people used to compare my mother to Julie Andrews. She had the same kind of short hair and the beautiful voice. And lately there have been a lot of live musicals that they've produced for television, and I think it's a great thing because there are probably a lot of kids out there that may not get to see musical theater otherwise. Anyhow, I want to sing this next song as a thank you to my parents for exposing us to this wonderful music early on. And I also picked this particular song just because it's just a beautiful, simple song, yet I think it's so meaningful and so relevant, especially today. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to greet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. So I mentioned that we moved around quite a lot, and that was a particularly difficult thing, you know, when you're a kid. You have to say goodbye to friends that you've made. You go somewhere totally new and you have to make new friends. And I think one of the really difficult things for kids and even some adults is simply fitting in. So when I heard this song, it brought back a lot of memories, and it may for some of you as well. It's from a 2009 review entitled Whoop-De-Doo. Clink a glass and wipe your eye for my bygone days at Highland Springs High, and the class I learned to dread, the ego buster they called Phys Ed. Basketball, baseball, football, stickball, volleyball, dodgeball, tetherball, kickball. Playing was hell, but worst of all was the ritual that came first of all.
Alright, captains, choose your team.
Last one picked, non-athletic. Last one picked. At sports I was pathetic. Other kids could tumble and run, but my coordination was totally on. 6 guys left, stomach sinking. 3 guys left, my self-esteem was shrinking. Felt so ashamed I could have cried. Nobody wanted me on their side. How many notes did I forge to say, please excuse Steve from gym today. He's wrenched his back His colon is spastic. He's got meningitis and his kneecaps are plastic. I was the last one picked, rejected by the rabble. Last one picked, I could beat them all at Scrabble. My brains didn't do me a bit of good. The bottom of the barrel is where I stood. But time went by and I met you and learned a team could consist of two. The way I was A-okay. Who cared about kids' games anyway? Last one picked. The past is past now. Last one picked. At last I'm not the last now. First draft choice on a winning team. Like I always dreamed I'd be. Imagine my surprise when out of all those other guys you picked me. Now, truth be told, full disclosure, there was another reason why I was often, the last one picked. It wasn't necessarily my athletic ability, but I did have this one other characteristic, which you may be able to guess from this song. There's a lady living somewhere, where it is I do not know, but I long to write and tell her that I love her so. I believe I might do mayhem, yes, I might destroy myself if I ever found her missing from my grocer's shelf. Sarah Lee, oh Sarah Lee, your brioche just fractures me. Give me a taste of your cherry Danish. My mother bakes well, but you can't compare her, not with Sarah Lee. Oh, Sarah Lee, there's no H, just Sarah Lee, and that's okay by me, 'cause I'm living in paradise, and I'm nibbling apple spice from the kitchens of the one I love, wonderful Sarah Lee, Sarah Lee, and it thrills me right to my soul when I'm chewing that finger roll. Hear me saying, for goodness sake, there's never been a better banana cake. Cousin Milton works at the Hilton. He caters banquets, and at each affair he swears by Sarah Lee. Yeah, I really know what you mean, Sarah Lee. On her brownies at sea, there's no H, just Sarah Lee, and that's okay by me. I love a cheesecake white as pearls, and did I mention that chocolate swirl from the kitchens of the one I love, wonderful Sarah, beautiful S-A-R-A-L-E-E, Sarah Lee. So, did you figure it out? Yeah, I was the chubby kid, right? There's another word for chubby, that thankfully I think has fallen into disuse. Although I did have this kind of PTSD-like moment the other day when I was shopping with my kids and I saw it. Husky. Anybody ever heard that word husky, right? Well, there's nothing worse than going back to school shopping with your dad and in what can only be described as a stage voice, or maybe it was like a preacher without a microphone voice, right? Excuse me, ma'am, Can you tell me where the husky section is? Now, in that moment, it feels that everyone's eyes are on you, right? Now, you know there's circular racks with the clothes that kids like to hide in? That's really cute, right, when you're 4. But not so much like when you're 14, right? So I was thinking about starting this online support group. It's going to be huskyisadog.com, you know, like all caps with maybe like an exclamation point or something, right? Anyway, you know, being the chubby kid, it wasn't that bad until I started getting older, right? And boys and girls, you know, stop being grossed out by each other and they start becoming interested in each other. And more often than not, I found myself put into this just friends category, right? So this next song by John Lucchino kind of does a good job of capturing that feeling. Sometimes I think my heart will burst like a balloon inside my chest, with all the love that's waiting here unexpressed. Fingers that ache to intertwine, warmest of chords but missing tune. Where is the laugh to echo mine? Send it soon. The words my lips would form, the circle these 2 arms might make safe and warm. Someone could be safe and warm. But maybe the love we yearn to give can find a release some other way, coloring how we choose to live every day, the kindness we can share. The kindness we can share, the comfort these 2 arms might lend in despair. Someone's always in despair. Still I'm longing to meet that pair of eyes, dark as the night or endless blue, holding a light I'll recognize, something clear, something true, something that seems to mean something I haven't seen since. To get the idea that I had this awful childhood, okay? For the most part, it was pretty great. And when life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to, I would often immerse myself in reading books and feed my imagination, which is not a bad thing for somebody that might become an actor, right? And I also got involved in music in school. And despite being just deathly terrified of auditioning, you know, being the chubby kid doesn't exactly do wonders for your self-esteem. One of my best friends, he's probably still my best friend to this day, he's also a professional performer, he encouraged me to audition for this select choir. And I auditioned and I made it. And I think I surprised a lot of people that didn't know that I could sing. And I think I really surprised myself. And it kind of lit this fire inside of me, right? That I wanted to keep doing this. Not just because it made people, you know, sit up and take notice, but also because of how freeing it felt, just to be able to express myself this way. Everything has its season, everything has its time. Show me a reason and I'll soon show you a rhyme. Cats sit on the windowsill, children sit in the snow. Why do I feel I don't fit in anywhere I go? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I gotta be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Every man has his daydream, every man has his goal. People like the way dreams have of sticking to the soul. Thunder clouds have their lightning, nightingales have their song. Can't you see I want my life to be so much more than long? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I gotta be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. So many men seem destined to settle for something small, but I won't stop until I know I have it all. So don't ask where I'm going, just listen when I'm gone. Far away you'll hear me singing softly to the dawn. Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I gotta be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. The sky. After high school, I decided that I wanted to keep studying music. I went on to get my bachelor's in music education from James Madison University. And while I was there, I was lucky enough to get into this group called the Madisonians. And it was a show choir. And I don't know if any of you guys remember that show Glee. Remember that show Glee? Well, we were Glee, right? Before there was a Glee. Okay? And I learned so much about performing from being in this group, and how much I really loved just being around a group of people who were so passionate and dedicated to what they were doing, and also just so supportive of each other. And despite being a school that doesn't have a lot of name recognition, it's not a music school, it's not a conservatory, we had quite a number of people that went on to Broadway or something similar. I saw my first Broadway show with this group, Miss Saigon, and it really was during this time that I got bit by the performing bug. I said, you know, I want to be in show business. I want to lift the spirits of those feeling low. Pour out my heart to people I don't even know. Get paid in sweat, and damn it, if that sweat don't show. This kid is born to be in the biz. Oh, I would have pulled a hamstring and be forced to grin. That really hurt. I'm listing Broadway Baby as my next of kin. This kid is born to be in the biz, to dance a dance, to sing a song. Not a bad reason for living. This is the place where I belong. Long as I got the gift that keeps on giving. when you decide to make that move to New York City, you kind of have to have a little bit of that, right? I mean, you have to believe that you're going to make it. Now, maybe I was a little bit more naive than most, and it doesn't take you too long to realize what the reality is that you're trying to do. Now, when you get to New York, when you make that move, hopefully you have your essentials, right? You have your resumes, you have your headshots, you have your audition music ready, and you start going out to auditions. Now, most of us that are just starting out, we don't have an agent, we're not members of the union, so what that means is you have to get to these auditions really early to sign up for an audition slot, okay? And if you don't do that, you're going to be waiting there all day long. Now, one thing that happens fairly often at these auditions is that as the day wears on, the casting team realizes that they don't have enough time, they're running out of time, they're running behind. So they decide that they need to spend a little bit less time with each person, right? And what that means for you is that you have less time to sing your music. You have to cut your music. Now at a really, really generous audition, they might let you sing a whole song. I think 32 bars is probably pretty standard. And anything less than that, it gets to be pretty difficult to show them, you know, what you can do, right? Especially when you only have a couple seconds to sing your song, maybe 15 seconds or something like that. So this next song was written by the contemporary songwriting team of Carner and Greger. And they wrote it because a lot of their friends were complaining about this very self-same situation. And it's called the 8-bar audition song. Don't look up, no I swear, I'll be out of your hair in 8 measures. Done before I begin, as I sing from my heart, from my soul, from my life, for your pleasures. It's okay, don't let me intrude. Though I may have to throw in a bar 21/8 just to fit all I want to say in. And the but the time slips away until that's all she wrote. If I only had just one more bar, I could sing my ping. Thank you. Just 8 bars, by the way. So all of my friends that moved to New York, and myself included, we all need to get survival jobs. We have to have some way to pay the bills while we're doing this auditioning, right? And by necessity, these survival jobs have to be very flexible. You know, they have to be okay with someone calling in at the last minute and saying that they can't come to work because they have, you know, whatever. And so these are often things like waiting tables. My survival jobs were cater waitering and temping. Those were my survival jobs. And after you do it for a while, and you notice these same situations cropping up, maybe not personally, but with your friends, you're going to lots of auditions, but you're not having any luck, you're not getting hired. So it starts to feel like all you're doing is waiting tables. That's one scenario. B, you're going to auditions and you're getting callbacks. That's great, right? But now you have a decision to make. Do you go to work tomorrow so that you can pay your bills because you're barely scraping by? Or do you go to this callback with the hopes of this chance of maybe getting this acting job that may or may not let you pay your bills? And keep in mind that sometimes you have to go to 2 or 3 or maybe even more of these callbacks before you get a job. And then there's this other scenario, which might be the most heartbreaking of all, really. You go to the audition, you go to all the callbacks, you get the job, right? You get the job, only to find out that maybe it doesn't even pay enough to make it worth your while to leave the city anyway. And so you're back there waiting tables, and now you've missed all this work and you're trying to make it up. So it's a very difficult thing to balance and juggle this. This next song, also by Carner and Greger, kind of captures the feelings of a lot of actors that work in the service industries. 200 bucks from a 10-hour shift, almost done now. Home past 4, tomorrow's audition looks fun now. Waiting, it's steady, this job's pulling me through the lean time. It's not quite the dream, having some fun in the meantime. I won the big bachelorette table prize, cash in their pockets and lust in their eyes. I had a good night, they bought me a shot, and didn't remind me of all that I've not yet accomplished. And I'm waiting, making rent and some friends, waiting, living my life, enjoying the ride, putting ambition a bit to the side, in a job I guess I should be hating, but I'm not, and I'm waiting. Becky's been here a decade, it's all she knows now. Keeps saying she'll hit that audition, but she never goes now. Philippe at the bar, his girlfriend's expecting about now. He's upping his shifts, knows he'll never get out now. And we all laugh it up and have a good time, from the host to the waiter to bartender climb. Think we're in luck, how long till we're stuck, always waiting till the means are the end, waiting on that Midwestern woman who loves the showbiz. Her daughter takes singing so she knows how it is, and tips 8% because she's not concentrating. Waiting, no, 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 no more waiting. Gotta go, show some brawn, maybe punch out that guy who just called me garçon. Take a chance, make a choice, and I'll shout I'm a star with what's left of my voice. Waiting. I'm waiting. The elderly couple says, "Hey, good for you, chasing your dreams here. Have you been in Cats?" I smile as I stifle my screams here, waiting. So I mentioned that I was probably a bit naive when I moved to New York. Well, I was also married, and the two of us moved there. She was also a singer, actress, trying to make it, and we talked, and we knew that we were both going to have to be apart. But it's one thing to say it, and it's really another thing to live it. And as time went by, I found myself getting cast more often. I was having more luck, and she more often than not found herself by herself in New York. And it really made things difficult. And as more time went by, I found myself turning down jobs a lot of really good jobs because I didn't want her to be alone. And that put a lot more strain on the relationship. And eventually she got to a point where she was ready to leave New York City for good. And I just wasn't. And I got this job offer to go out on a national tour for 8 months. It was My Fair Lady, and I took it. Now this next song comes to me by way of John Saunders, who was on that tour with me. And he kind of witnessed, to some extent, the end of my first marriage. The song is Her Face from Carnival, with music and lyrics by Bob Merrill. And what's kind of striking about the song, I think, is how it goes from kind of anger and frustration to this really tender spot to kind of resignation and acceptance that maybe these two characters, Paul and Lily, really aren't meant to be together. That's what I needed, just what I needed. Someone's hand reaching out for mine, a helpless thing depending on me to bear its burden, clothe and feed it, practically carry it. A grown-up girl with the mind of a child, depending on me, measuring me, staring at me, measuring me. Everywhere I look, I can see her face. I can see her face, see it everywhere. And when I close my eyes, it stays. And like a leaf whirls on a wind, around my mind it plays. If in these two hands I could hold her face, while my fingertips kiss her eyes and lips, and make them love and light and shine. But that would take two other hands, not mine. That would take two other hands, not mine. So I stayed on in New York for a couple more years after this, going to auditions. And after you have been to auditions for a couple years, you start to accumulate some really interesting audition stories. Okay, so I'm going to share with you two of mine. The first is my most embarrassing audition. There was a theater that was they were doing two shows that summer. One was a Fosse show, one was a tap show. I went and sang, they kept me great. They started teaching the Fosse combination, I did well in that, they kept me great. They started teaching the tap combination. Now, I am not really a tapper, okay? And they're teaching it, I'm doing a very good job faking it. Now, faking it is when your feet they look like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? But you're maybe making half the sounds you're supposed to be making, which is not really good in tap, right? Tap, it's supposed to have sounds. So I was doing all right though, faking it. I said, oh, I might get this job, maybe. And then the gut punch, right? The gut punch. They decide they're going to make every person do the combination by themselves. So I couldn't just like leave. I mean, I guess I could have, but I said, well, let's try this. Needless to say, it did not go well. I was not making half the sounds. My face is turning beet red, and I'm looking for that circular rack again, right? I mean, where's a circular rack when you need one? Needless to say, I did not get that job. My second story I'll share with you, maybe my oddest audition. I was auditioning for this show called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. And I thought I did pretty well at the, yeah, it's a funny title, right? I thought I did pretty well at the singing audition, but they didn't keep me. So I was like, well, yeah, it's one of those things, you just chalk it up. And I get home later that night, and I check my machine. We had the machines in those days now. And they said, we made a mistake. Could you come back, could you come meet us tomorrow before we leave? You know, we actually meant to call you back. Could you meet us? So I called them up, I was like, sure, I'll meet you tomorrow. And they said, okay, meet us at the Malibu Diner on 23rd between 6 and 7. I thought that was a little odd, but I said, yeah, sure, okay, great. You know, in my head I'm thinking, we're going to meet there, we're going to go somewhere else. I show up, and they're already there, they have a table, and they have all of the scenes that I'm supposed to read at the table, and they say, yeah, here, have a seat. So this person's over here eating their eggs, this person's over here slurping their coffee, and I'm reading scenes from the show in between them, everyone's staring at me. It was rather odd, to say the least. I did get that job. I didn't take it, but I did discover that the Broadway Diner has great cannolis. So it wasn't a total wash. There you go. No, I bet if you ask any of the actors that work here, you know, if they have any really interesting audition stories, they would probably at least have a couple. For this next song, I'm going to bring out the Mac Hayden's very own John Saunders and Monica Wemmett. Really true-to-life audition scenarios or experiences, okay? And I think that you might recognize the tune. On my first bad audition, the pianist said to me, I can't play the song in your key.
On my second bad audition, my temp job said to me, you have to stay.
And I can't play the song in this key.
On my third bad audition, the breakdown said to me, you're just too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key. On my fourth bad audition, the subway said to me, no end train.
You're just too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key.
On my fifth bad audition, my trainer said to me, lose 20 pounds.
No end train.
You're too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key.
On my sixth bad audition, my agent said to me, you need new headshots.
Lose 20 pounds.
No entry.
You're too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key. On my seventh bad audition, the doctor said to me, your cords are swollen.
You need new headshots.
Lose 20 pounds.
No end train.
You're too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key.
On my eighth bad audition, my scene partner said to me, don't friggin' touch me.
Your cords are swollen.
You need new headshots.
Lose 20 pounds.
You're too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key.
On my ninth bad audition, my roommate said to me, what are you wearing?
Friggin' touch me.
Your cords are swollen.
You need new headshots.
Lose 20 pounds.
No end train.
You're too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key. On my 10th bad audition, the dance captain said to me, let's see some footies.
What are you wearing?
Don't friggin' touch me.
Your cords are swollen.
You need new headshots.
Lose 20 pounds.
No end train.
You're too short.
Stupid temp job.
And I can't play your song in this key.
On my 11th bad audition, the director said to me, please sing a pop song. I
21-year-old casting assistant said to me. I know we gave you 54 pages of size to learn, but we're only hearing page 9. Starting on the high C, we're looking for a cross between Julie Andrews and Harvey Firestein. With more heart and funnier.
Please sing a pop song.
Let's see some footage.
What are you wearing?
Don't friggin' touch me.
Your cords are swollen.
You need new headshots.
Lose 20 pounds.
You're too short.
It's a damn job.
And like
Music was in the wrong key.
Let's make some noise!
So I want to start the second half of the program with a song that probably everyone here has heard. I no longer live in New York, but no matter where I go, I kind of feel like I'll always carry a piece of the city with me. I think that anyone that's lived there for any good length of time, you know, they kind of take it as this point of pride that they lived there, they survived there, maybe they even thrived there. And I love this next song for a number of reasons. In the context of the show, you get the perspective of the young ingenue that's just gotten there to the city and she's determined to make it, you know, and then you also have the other perspective of this guy that's been there for a while, or maybe they're returning and they still love the city for all its challenges. And I can't think of a sweeter homage to the Big Apple than NYC. NYC, what is it about you? You're big, you're loud, you're tough. NYC, I go years without you, still I can't get enough of cab drivers answering back in a language far from pure, enough of frankfurters answering back, brother, you know you're in NYC, too busy, too crazy, too hot, too cold, too late, and so again on NYC. NYC, the shadows at sundown, the roofs that scrape the sky. NYC, the rich and the rundown, the big parade goes by. What other town in the whole 48 has a mayor 5'2"? No other town in the whole 48 can have compared to you. Oh, NYC, you make them all postcards, you crowd, you cramp, you're still the champ. Amen to NYC. Now the decision to for me to leave New York was prompted by a number of different things. On that national tour, I met my wife of 11 years. She came on as a dancer. You can give her applause. She came on as a dancer toward the end of the tour, and we worked on and off together. I mean, worked with each other and apart from each other for a couple years in New York. We literally set sail working on ships. And after a while, she decided that she was ready to move on from performing. And I started thinking that maybe it was time for me to do that as well. I was in my early 30s by this point. I'd worked at a couple good regional theaters. I did that national tour. But staying in the game, as I call it, gets a lot harder when you don't think you're winning, you know? So we moved to Arizona so my wife could go to dental school. I had a number of different jobs just to pay the bills, and we always knew when she was done that we wanted to move back east, and we ended up in western Massachusetts. This next song is kind of about that point in your life when you're ready to take maybe a new path or a new direction in your journey. It was written by the team of Scott Berthel and Paul Label for their 2009 review entitled Sort of Love Songs. Here I sit all alone, trying to figure out who I am. Here I sit with a choice to make, and the only person on my mind is Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, a new frontier, uncharted seas, a chance for new discoveries. Was he afraid? Was he scared to sally forth where none had dared? Or did he know somewhere inside that riches lay at the end of his ride? Whatever he felt, he took that leap and ventured forth on the ocean deep, and he set sail, Columbus, a new world to explore. Set sail, Columbus, for that unknown shore. And if the world was flat, he just forgot about that and rode that big blue wave. Columbus, he was brave. In 1969, the moon became our Valentine. A new frontier, uncharted skies, a chance for us to fantasize. Is there life? Tell us please, or is it one big chunk of cheese? Can we breathe? Is there air? What surprises await us there? Whatever the risk, whatever the case, we ventured forth into outer space, and we set sail, Apollo, a new world to explore. Set sail, Apollo, for that unknown shore. If we were scared to go, we didn't let it show. We rode that starry wave. Please lend your sense of adventure to me.
streets today, and I'm searching for the way. Which road to take? Such stormy seas can lead to great catastrophes. I'm so afraid to look inside and face the fears I've tried to hide, and yet it seems an awful shame to let my life be just more of the same. Whatever I feel, whatever may be, it's time to chart my course out to sea and set sail, Columbus, a new world to explore. Set sail, Columbus, for that unknown shore. And if I run aground, I'll listen for the sound of the compass. That's my heart. Come on now, be smart. Set sail, set sail, set sail, set sail. This next song was also written by Paul Lazel of Berkeley and Lazel. And Paul is the more prolific of the two. He gets things done a lot more quickly, I guess. So they have this agreement that Paul Lazel has agreed, and he's able to work with someone else as long as they're no longer living. Sounds reasonable, right? So the text for this next song was written by a 14th century Persian poet by the name of Hafiz. And this is for my wife, Casey, who sets the jewel in my eye to dance. Whenever God lays His glance, life starts clapping. The myriad creatures grab their instruments and join the song. Whenever love makes itself known against another body, the jewel in the eye starts to whenever love makes itself known against another body, the jewel in the eye starts to Not long after we moved to Massachusetts, my son Noah was born. And after Mom went back to work for quite a while, it was just Noah and I at home, the two of us together, experiencing life, going out on adventures. You know, I guess when you're new to life, everything's a new adventure, right? And I knew I wanted to dedicate a song to each of my kids in this show. When I heard this one, I knew it was the one. The name of it is New Words. It's by Maury Yeston. And kind of an interesting little side story about this song. When Alan J. Lerner heard this song, who we know
from Brigadoon and My Fair Lady, he decided to contact Maury Yeston and offer to give him some coaching and mentoring. And the reason that he did this is because Oscar Hammerstein had done the same thing for him, and he kind of wanted to pass it along. So, interesting little story. This is New Words for my son Noah. Look up there, high above us, in a sky of blackest silk. See how round, like a cookie. See how wide as milk. Call it the moon, my son. Say moon. Sounds like your spoon, my son. Can you say it? New word today. Say moon. Hear the moon brightly turning. See the shining sparks of light. Each one new, each one burning through the darkness of the night. We call them stars, my son. Say stars. That one is Mars, my son. Can you say it? New word today. Say stars as they blink all around us, playing starry-eyed games. Who would think it astounds us, simply naming their names? Turn your eyes from the skies now. Turn around and look at me. There's a light in my eyes now, and a word for what you see. We call it love, my son. Say love. So hard to say, my son. It gets harder. New word today. We'll learn to say moon, say stars, say love. I can't sing a song for my son Noah without singing a song for my daughter Lily. She's 4. You know how that is. Now, I have to say, growing up in my family, it was pretty much all boys. I mean, I had all brothers. All my cousins were boys, except for one lone girl, Sarah. She's here tonight. Hi, Sarah. So when I found out I was having a girl, I was like, oh my goodness, I have no clue. I don't know. I'm not used to that. I think a lot of people would agree that raising a girl is a little bit different than raising a boy. But I wouldn't change it for the world. This is Soliloquy from Carousel. I wonder what you think of me. I bet he'll call me the old man. I bet he'll think I
I can lick every other fella's father. Well, I can. I bet that he'll turn out to be the spitting image of his dad. But he'll have more common sense than his wooden-headed father ever had. I'll teach him to wrestle and dive through a wave when we go in the morning for a swim. His mother can teach him the way to behave, but you won't make a sissy out of him. Not him, not my boy, not Bill. My boy Bill, I will see that he's named after me. I will. My boy Bill, he'll be tall and as tough as a tree. He'll do like a tree, he'll grow with his head held high and his feet planted firm on the ground. And you won't see nobody dare to try to boss him or toss him around. No pot-bellied, baggy-eyed bully will boss him around. And I don't give a damn what he does, as long as he does what he likes. He can sit on his tail or work on a rail with a hammer and spikes. He can ferry a boat on a river, or pedal a pack on his back, or work up and down the streets of a town with a whip and a horse and a hack. He can haul a scow along a canal, run a cow around a corral, or maybe walk for a carousel. Of course, it takes talent to do that well. He might be a champ at heavyweights, or a fella that sells you glue, or president of the United States. That'd be all right too. His mother would like that, but he wouldn't be president unless he wanted to be. Not Bill. My boy Bill, he'll be tall and as tough as a tree. We'll build like a tree, he'll grow with his head held high and his feet planted firm on the ground. And you won't see nobody dare to try to boss him or toss him around. No flat-bottomed, flabby-faced, pot-bellied, baggy-eyed bastard will boss him around. And I'm damned if we'll marry his boss's daughter, a skinny-lipped virgin with blood like water, and give him a peck and call it a kiss, and look in his eyes through a lorgnette. Why am I going on like this? My kid ain't even been born yet. I can see him when he's 17 or so, starting in to go with a girl. I can give him lots of pointers, very sound, on the way to get round any girl. I can tell him. Wait. What the hell? What if he is a girl? Bill! What can I do for her? What can I do with her? I'm just a bum with no money. You can have fun with a son, but you gotta be a father to a girl. She mightn't be so bad with that. A kid with ribbons in her hair, a kind of neat and petite little tin type of a mother. What a pair! I could just hear myself bragging about her. My little girl, pink and white as peaches and cream is she. My little girl is half again as bright as girls are meant to be. Dozens of boys pursue her, many a likely lie. what he can to woo her from her faithful dad. She has a few pink and white young fellas of 2 or 3, but my little girl gets hungry every night, and she comes home to me. My little girl, my little girl. I gotta get ready before she comes. I gotta make certain that she won't get dragged up in slums with a lot of bums like me. She's gotta be sheltered and fed and dressed in the best that money can buy. I never knew how to get money, but I'll try. By God, I'll try. I'll go out and make it, or steal it, or take it, or die. So, as much as I've enjoyed staying home with the kids, and I love being home with the kids, I kind of started to miss working life, you know? And I had this grand plan that I was going to become a dental hygienist, right? Maybe work with my wife, we're gonna be like a team, and it almost happened. I got into hygiene school, I got through a lot of hygiene school, but life had other plans. Now, you can imagine being a music major doesn't exactly prepare you for studying the sciences. So I had a lot of work to do just to get into school, you know. And when it didn't pan out for me, it was pretty tough. I'm now back home with the kids every day and watching the kids. And you know this kind of cliched picture they had that you think of with the parent in the grocery store, the kids are crying, they're sleep deprived, they're looking kind of rough around the edges. That's kind of how I started to feel a little bit, right? So I was looking for a song that kind of matched that feeling. I came across this song, Life Is, from Zorba. Now I started reading the lyrics and I was like, well, this might be a little more depressing than what I'm going for. But I started doing some research. As I was researching the song, I discovered that the character Zorba is actually singing this song to his young friend as kind of an exhortation to live life to its fullest. He's saying, you know, life is hard, life is gonna end, but you have to live every day like it's your last. And I kind of like that. Life is what you do while you're waiting to die. This is how the time goes by. Life is where you wait while you're waiting to leave. Life is where you grin and grieve. Having if you're lucky, wanting if you're not, looking for the ruby underneath the rot, hungry for the peel-off in someone else's pot, but that's the only choice you've got. Life is where you wait just before you are flat. Life is only that, Mr. Life is simply that, Mr. That and nothing more than that. Life is what you feel till you can't feel it all. Life is where you fly and fall, running for the shelter shelter, naked in the snow, learning that a teardrop's everywhere you go, finding it's the mud that makes the roses grow, but that's the only life you know. Life is what you do while you're waiting to die. This is how the time goes by. So, now it's 2015. I have no idea what I'm going to do in my life now. I'm thinking maybe I'll make a return to the stage. I started taking voice lessons with a wonderful soprano and voice teacher in the area, Maureen O'Flynn. Just trying to, oh yeah, all right. Just trying to get myself back into shape. And also coincidentally, around this time, I'm looking on Facebook of all things, and I see John Saunders. I'm like, oh, John Saunders. And then I see Manhattan Theater, and I see Chatham, New York, and I think, wait a minute, Chatham, New York, it's only about a half an hour away from here. You know, and I never knew that he was just a half an hour away from me, you know, and we've been in Great Barrington for a couple years. So I call him up, he comes over for dinner, he met the kids, he had never met the kids. I told him that I was thinking about returning to the stage, and he came to see a solo concert that I did, and the rest, as they say, is history. And he really gave me a great gift in taking a chance on an old friend that had not been on the stage in 9 years, and also giving me the opportunity to play one of what has been one of my favorite roles in Emile de Beck from South Pacific. I hope that you're not tired of hearing it, because I really don't ever get tired of singing it, but I'd like to sing Some Enchanted Evening from South Pacific. Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger. You may see a stranger across a crowded room, and somehow you know even then, that somewhere you'll see her again and again. Some enchanted evening, someone may be laughing. You may hear her laughing across a crowded room, and night after night, as strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams. Who can explain it? Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons, wise men never try. Some enchanted evening, when you find your true love, when you feel her call you across a crowded room, then fly to her side, or living alone, or all through your life you may dream on alone. Once you have found her, never let go. Once you have found her, never let her go.
This next song is by Stephen Flaherty and Lynn Ahrens, who wrote Ragtime and a number of other great musicals. It kind of pays tribute to actors and why it is we do what we do. You know, if someone were to write a really honest, job description or want ad for being an actor, it would go something like this. Come join this exciting career where you will be chronically unemployed, right? Come join this exciting career where you will be paid very meagerly for the time, effort, and money that you spend in trying to do what you love to do. Come join this exciting career where you will face rejection constantly as your employment hinges on things that are superficial like your looks. And finally, you'll experience these really wonderful highs as you get to play this incredible character that you've always wanted to play, only to find yourself, weeks or months later, kind of depressed as you're looking for work again, right? I think everybody would apply for this job, right? It sounds great, right? Thankfully, there are still people that choose careers on the stage, and we are all the better for it. I've sung on a stage, I've danced in a tent, I've swept out a theater to help pay my rent. I've begged and I've argued for any small chance to perform. And nights I've awakened my thoughts in a knot, remembering how much I gave up and for what. Some paints and some costumes, an out-of-town stop in the storm. And when my kids ask me, Dad, why do you do what you do? My only reply is so I can give something to you. Why does an actor continue today, or a dancer get up from afar? Men without nets dangle high in the air, but it's really the same for us all. Standing on ladders or stages, giving our best down through the ages. What are we hoping for? What do we feel? I say we yearn to leave something that lasts, to be known for what little we've done. Men tell their children the tales of their past, and each man gives his name to his son. Something in song or in story, something of love, something of glory, something that won't disappear in a year. That's why I know that I'll never say never, while lights in the theater still glow. Music and laughter and wonder forever, show after show. This much I know. Here is the gift I pass on to my kids as I put them to bed every night. Tales of what I and so many have done,
as we stood on our stage in the light. This is my joy and my duty, how I can leave something of beauty, something that time cannot make disappear, something to say. I was here.
So finally, I want to leave you with this one last song. It's by John Bucchino. It's entitled Grateful. The name of this show, after all, is A Journey to Grateful. Such a simple word, grateful, and yet it can be such a hard place to reach at times. I think sometimes it comes with time and perspective. Sometimes it might be as simple as just taking a moment. So I am thankful and grateful for all of the wonderful people that I've met and the incredible experiences that I've had from being on the stage. I'm thankful for those 9 years away because they gave me a chance to start a family. And it also reminded me how much I really miss this. Isn't it funny how sometimes a journey can bring you back to the same place you started? Hopefully, you're a changed person. Hopefully, you're changed for the better. And one more thing I've learned is that home, we started the show with that song, Home, it doesn't have to be a city or a town. For me, coming back to the stage has really felt like coming home. I want to give a special thanks to my accompanist, Lee Dixon. Special thanks to John Saunders, who gave me this opportunity. To Monica Lemmet and the Mac Hayden Theater. To my family. And thank all of you for coming and allowing me to share some of my journey to Grateful. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. There may be times when I lose the light and let my spirit sink, but I can't stay depressed when I remember how I'm blessed. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, duly blessed and truly grateful. In a city of strangers, I've got a family of friends. No matter what rocks and brambles fill the way, I know that they will. I feel a hand holding my hand. It's not a hand you can see, but on the road
shepherd me through delight and despair, holding tight and always there. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and truly grateful. It's not that I don't want a lot, a hope for more, a dream of more, but giving thanks for what I've got makes me so much happier than keeping score in a world that can bring pain. I will still take each chance, for I believe that no matter the terrain, our feet can learn to dance. No matter what stone life may sling, we can mold